let's talk about this. Today not so bad, but last week was a tough week for the stock market, and this month has been a tough month for the stock market. So, at what point do you see stocks reversing trend and not falling anymore and going back up to, how it was for the rest of the year when stocks were just on a rampage?
Yeah, I think probably October. A key thing that we don't talk about is how important September is. It's the start of the fiscal year. It feels like when September comes, everyone's done with vacation, and then they start saying, "Okay, let's take this out of the budget. Let's apply this money here." So I think since we're getting back into the swing of things, and we just had witching, so we factored that in. A lot of contracts expired. A lot of
Mhm.
hedge funds are not looking to buy for the next quarter. Um, but we have to see what the Fed is going to do about interest rates and whether I think that'll be unchanged. We have to see what's going to happen with the strike. So when you're investing, you have to look and see how many roadblocks are away from the market going up. Like you want a clean slate. So no automotive strike. The strike in Hollywood needs to be resolved. I don't think they'll cut rates to next year, but if they make an announcement on that, that would be great. And then if a company puts out guidance and say, hey, we expect to double revenue, that would be great. But once you have all these rocks in the way, it's kind of hard for the market to go up consistently. And we need to see some other companies, maybe in the Russell 2000 or mid caps, do a lot better to show signs of strength so that the Dow can catch up and that the S&P 500 can catch up. So that's what I'm looking for. But that probably won't happen until mid-October. If you're an investor, you just have to keep buying quality. I know everyone hates when the market is in a down cycle, but this is the best time to actually buy when we're sliding down. It's really interesting from like a psychological standpoint. When the market is at a high, everyone wants to buy, even though statistically it's the worst time to actually like make an investment in. And then when the market is sliding down, more people are afraid. But we shouldn't be thinking about this over a month to month. Like if you judge it 3 months, 6 months out, you'll be incredibly happy. But I know it's tough when you're actually making an investment and you put $3,000 in, and then 2 weeks later you're down $500, but you have to play the long game no matter what.
Yeah, I think all those factors that you name, and we kind of spoke about this at the start of the month about
Yeah.
all the things that are happening in September. We talked about CPI, we talked about unemployment, and we talked about the Fed, having the interest of either they're going to freeze rates or raise rates. And so all those things are playing out, like you said, witching just happened last week, and so all these things are playing out exactly how we, historically we thought they would. I think the one thing that maybe people overlook is the geopolitical climate of the economy, what's happening in China, which we've documented on a number of occasions, but what's still happening in Russia and Ukraine. Like these things still play a major role in the world economy. And so those things are happening, and let alone anything else that may arise over the next 4 to 6 weeks. You just never know. So all those things put into a bowl is a recipe for some of the climate that we're in. But like I said, we've seen September, and historically it has been the worst month for the market. But like you said, the other end of the spectrum is that if you're somebody that's looking to figure out what time should I invest, it's a great place to start planting the seeds.
I mean, if I told you 2 years ago that at one point a former president would be indicted and then a president's son would be going possibly to jail, you would be like, you've lost your mind. Like, this is one of the most interesting political climates I've seen. And that unrest causes for concern, like especially once again, when you only have 7 companies. I know you guys get tired of us talking about Apple and Microsoft, but it's like, and even with Apple, you're on the clock. You need to start innovating. I think Michael Batnick wrote a newsletter or article saying, is Apple the new IBM? If they don't fix this by iPhone 17, I'm gonna have a different declaration on iPhone. It's time for some innovation. If any of you work at Apple or used to work there, please send us up the food chain. I know they are not taking it serious, and I know because of the regulation and regulatory issue that they had to make the charging port a USB-C, that's not the innovation that we need. It's really not. So companies overall have to do better. Like we need to have a conversation, when is Starlink going to go public? Like Starlink made $1.4 billion last year as a privately held company. Another great Elon innovation. We need more companies to produce real products and real services that are needed. We don't need another social media app for dogs. Like,
yes, trapped in the matrix.
They're trying to get him out of here.
You
can't be talking about Tim Cook like that, man.
Listen, every time I mention Tim Cook or Zuckerberg, I get frozen. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they said that the pre-order sales for the 15 are coming in better than expected, which is to my a little surprising. I didn't think they would. I didn't know if people would be clamoring to have a new phone that's kind of similar to the last 3 that they had, but it goes by brand loyalty again.
Got to innovate. You have to innovate, and I like to get ahead of these problems before it gets too bad. We need to see some innovation immediately in Apple. So